Welcome to the Three Martini Lunch. Grab a stool next to Greg Columbus of Radio America and Jim Garrity of National Review. Three Martinis coming up.
So glad you're with us for the Wednesday edition of the Three Martini Lunch. We are going to be talking about crime. We're going to be talking about 600,000 Chinese students coming to our colleges and universities this year, and the president being excited about that. And we're going to be talking about this latest trend Democrats everywhere have been doing, but it was prominently displayed at the DNC national meeting this week in Minneapolis. Land acknowledgements. Why do they do this? What does it mean? Especially if crazy people get power. So anyway, let's dive right in. And of course, the left and the media are basically now siding with criminals because President Trump wants to crack down on crime, and it seems to be working in the nation's capital. And it also seems to be a major concern for the American people. A new poll from the AP and NORC released Wednesday shows that the vast majority of Americans see crime as a huge issue in the United States and approve of the president's handling of it. This is the Fox News story. The poll showed that 81% of Americans agree that crime is a major issue, including 96% of Republicans, 68% of Democrats, and 72% of independents. Furthermore, 53% of Americans approve of the methods by which President Trump is combating crime. About half of white and Hispanic Americans approve of the way Trump is handling crime. 27% of Black Americans approve. So, for the most part, the Democrats are trying to get everybody to believe that this is completely unnecessary and doesn't need to be addressed. The American people strongly disagree.
At the DNC meeting, which we'll be talking about again later in this podcast, they did a survey done through YouGov in May, and they gave people two different options, right? And the first one was, we should do more to get tough on crime, like having tougher sentences for people convicted of violent crimes, maintaining strong bail laws to keep dangerous people in jail, and providing police with more support and resources. Now, surprisingly, only 40% say they preferred that of the two options. But now let me read you the wording for the other option. Quote, we should fully fund things that are proven to create safe communities, like good schools, jobs, and affordable housing, and help prevent crime by increasing treatment for mental health and the drug addiction, and by getting illegal guns off the street. Now, Democrats at the DNC meeting were celebrating the fact that this 60% liked that approach, when what you and I would probably characterize as soft on crime was described in the very best possible way. Root causes, schools, gun control, got to get gun control in there. That it won 60-40. And I was, struck by a comment by John Anzalone, a Democratic consultant, who just looked at that and rolled his eyes and said, look, serious about safety feels more like a college sex talk topic during freshman orientation than a serious message for Democratic candidates. This is why our party continues to be so very bad worded. This is not good advice. This is DC think in a bubble. And I don't know how many listeners were fans of the NBC sitcom Community, but serious about safety definitely sounds like something Dean Pelton would come up with. Probably like a STD awareness week that he had promoted. Like the idea, serious about safety. I don't know if it's the alliteration. I don't know if it's we're not tough on crime, but we're serious about safety. It is, this is not a branding issue. This is not a slogan issue. This is a policy outcome issue. And as we were preparing for this podcast, Greg, I was thinking, name a major city where you feel like you've heard that they're really good on, that it's really safe these days.
Maybe Miami?
I was going to say, I was having a very hard, obviously New York, you've heard about, setting the poor woman on fire on the subway and, guys with mental health issues pushing people onto subway tracks and all that stuff. LA, look, we just saw, Karen Bass, conceding, okay, we need, the LA police chief saying things are under control. And let's face it, the LAPD is not exactly known for its light touch. Chicago, corporations leaving the downtown saying our employees are not safe. You really got to think hard. Certainly Washington, D.C., where the National Guard has been deployed by the president. So if almost all of these cities have not only have Democratic mayors, have almost all or all Democratic city councils. There are no Republicans to blame in these cities. So if Democrats want the public to trust them on crime, they have to do a better job. And why is the DNC, instead of hearing this marketing, Don Draper saying safety seriousness as opposed to tough on crime and all that stuff, what if there's got to be some Democratic mayor who's presiding over a city that's got the lowest crime rate, at least of all Democratic cities? Listen to that guy. What are they doing differently? My guess is they probably don't have a George Soros prosecutor, But what are they doing in policing that is working? And why is this person not speaking at the Democratic National Committee and saying, hey, here's how we can do a better job, as opposed to, here's the new slogan that's going to save us. Remember alliteration, safety, seriousness, seriousness, safety. That'll work, I'm sure.
Well, they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because on the one hand, they can claim that there isn't a crime problem, but everybody knows that there is. The poll numbers clearly bear that out. But at the same time, the Democrats pretty much run every major city. So if they do acknowledge it, they've got to admit that what they've done so far hasn't worked very well. And so that's why we're playing word games instead of actually, dealing with the issues. Before we exit here, CNN on the streets, because Trump has talked about sending a National Guard to Chicago, different scenario than D.C. with what he can and can't do. But they were obviously trying to get local residents to try to not want that to happen, and they didn't get what they wanted.
My first reaction was that this is a good thing. I think that the governor as well as the mayor should be on board with it just so we can get a bit more of security in Chicago the way that we need.
The crime has dropped since 2024. Do you feel like the city feels safer?
No, not at all. No, especially with the police being defunded.
Don't you just love the media coming in and telling people how they should feel in their neighborhoods about crime? I mean, just fantastic.
Like the other thing is that, we've seen in the course of this debate, Democrats say, it's down 6% over, I'll different statisticians and different public opinion pollsters will give you. My guess is you probably need to drop in the numbers of 20%, 30%, 40%, maybe even 50% before people start feeling it. And one of the things that I've observed, I remember talking to a longtime National Review reader whose husband was carjacked in downtown Philadelphia. And it was right outside the city hall, which is right in the middle. People have seen it in movies. Down the street from the Macy's. It was really right in the heart of downtown. And she's like, I don't know if I'm ever going to go to downtown again. Now, maybe since then she has. But when something happens that's like visceral, right, where somebody is nearly the victim of a violent crime, that stays with you. And it takes a long time for improvement for people to really feel like, okay, it's safe to go back to that neighborhood. And again, we're not talking about high crime neighborhoods that were known for the drug trade. In this case, she was talking about downtown Philadelphia. There have been crimes in Union Station. There have been crimes in parts of downtown. Georgetown has less crime. DuPont Circle has less crime, but they've had fatal shootings and muggings and stuff like that. So when that happens, people's perceptions, it's not that they get set in stone, but it takes a long time to change. People should not expect a 6% change year over year to make people, the city's safe now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. All right. Well, if you live in a high crime neighborhood or you're worried about crime near where you live, that's going to stress you out. That might add some lines to your face. And guys in particular, wouldn't you like to look a little bit younger? Just feel more confident when you look in the mirror? Well, that's exactly what Caldera Lab is here for. Their high-performance skincare is designed specifically for men. It's simple, it's effective, and it's backed by science.
It's really a bad sign when you're getting mugged and the mugger says, are you getting enough sleep? You have bags under your eyes. You always want to look your best if you're going to be a potential crime victim. So look, remember that Caldera Labs has rigorous research and development cycles. Every product takes years to develop, test, and perfect. If they don't love it, they're not going to sell it to you. It's got non-comedogenic formulas, meaning they won't clog your pores. Every product is certified cruelty-free, so there's no animal testing ever. And it's plastic neutral. For every product they sell, they remove the same amount of plastic from the environment.
Yeah, I've used the cleanser. It feels great. I feel fresh. I feel clean in the face when I've used the cleanser. There's also the eye serum, the base layer, all of it fantastic products. So upgrade your skincare with Caldera Lab. Easy, effective, and made for men. Skip the drugstore. Try it for yourself. Visit calderalab.com/3ml and use the code 3ml for 20% off your first order. Again, that's calderalab.com/3ml with the code 3ml for 20% off. All right, Jim, on to our bad martini now. And this is something that you have talked about before. One of your pet peeves, I think, made it even into our special earlier this year. And that is American kids not getting a chance for a college education because there's so many international students coming. And while the president kind of threw some logs on that fire this week, because as he was talking about China, he talked about what a good thing it was that Chinese students were coming to America.
President Xi would like me to come to China. It's a very important relationship. As you know, we're taking a lot of money in from China because of the tariffs and different things. It's a very important relationship. We're going to get along good with China. I hear so many stories about we're not going to allow their students, or we're going to allow their students to come in. We're going to allow, it's very important, 600,000 students.
600,000, Jim. We're not talking about a few hundred or a few thousand. 600,000 this year alone. And we've certainly seen stories that a lot of these students, if not all of them, are expected to kind of report back to the government what they've observed here. So it doesn't take more than a very small percentage of them to be up to no good to give us a big problem.
Greg, even by Trump standards, this is pretty bizarre. And the president has talked about this twice this week. First in a meeting with the South Korean president, where he first mentioned that 600,000 students. As far as I can tell, that's the first anyone in the U.S. government has mentioned the idea of this change. If it sounds like a lot to you, that's because it is. That's more than twice as many Chinese students who are in the United States right now. It has been a little bit higher, around the 400,000 range from 2017 to 2020. Greg, something happened in 2020 that dramatically reduced foreign students coming to the United States, particularly from China. So maybe somebody can help refresh my memory there. But it was also in May that Marco Rubio announced under President Trump's leadership, the U.S. State Department will work with DHS to aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields. We will revise visa criteria to enhance scrutiny of all future visa applications from the People's Republic of China and Hong Kong. So in May, the plan was exactly the opposite. We were going to reduce the number of students who were coming, Chinese students who were coming to the United States. Everyone, of course, said this is racism, xenophobia. I have a very hard time believing it's racism when you have no policy, no problem with Taiwanese students coming over. What it really comes down to is this a communist country or is this a free and independent country? Oh, but I said specifically free and independent country, because the one China policy binds U.S. government, not private citizens, and it is an independent country. And if you're pissed off by that, good. I like pissing you off if you don't recognize Taiwan as an independent country. But anyway, so Trump gets asked about this in a second cabinet meeting, like, wait, this is completely contradicting this. And again, not only does Trump say we're going to do this is great. I think it's great that they come here. You know what would happen if they didn't? Our college system would go to hell very quickly. And it wouldn't be top colleges. It would be colleges that struggle on the bottom, and you take out 300,000 or 600,000 students out of the system. So Trump is doing this, Greg, to save American colleges and universities. And if there's anything conservatives want to see, they want to see colleges and universities get saved from the enrollment cliff that comes later this year. Too late for my older child, just in time for my younger child, that they're going to have in the neighborhood of several hundred fewer students applying, because there were several 100,000 fewer students that were born back at the start of the Great Recession in 2008, 2009, 2010. So I don't see the upside here. And as you mentioned, it's not that Chinese students are necessarily worse people, but it is officially, as you said, the policy of the Chinese government that if you are a Chinese foreign student in the United States, you are obligated to report anything you find that might be of interest to the Chinese government, i.e. research projects, R&D, anything that, Department of Defense sponsored, stuff like that. And of course, the Chinese government really loves to threaten people's families. So, there's just a unique problem when it comes to this demographic of foreign students. Nobody's saying this about Belgian foreign students. Nobody's saying this about, Indian foreign students. There are a whole bunch of countries where we are not in this state of there. And I will just kind of wrap up, Greg, by pointing out that, I kept getting told Trump was the only guy who'd get tough on China. And if he did it, I would be leading the charge. I would be leading the parade. Unfortunately, Greg, I keep seeing the wrong kind of red flags. I keep seeing, because, it's not just this, it's TikTok, supposed to be banned. Congress passed it. President signed it into, President Biden signed it into law. Supreme Court upheld it. It's supposed to be banned. Not only is it not banned, the White House has announced they're setting up a TikTok account, indicating a ban is not coming anytime soon. This is a giant Chinese government propaganda tool that was supposed to be banned. The president refuses to do it. Barred the travel of the Taiwanese president when he wanted to come to the West. That's not great. I was glad that the FBI and CIA came out and said the things they did at the lab leak at the beginning of this administration. Greg, have you heard anything from the president on this issue in the last 3-4 months?
On the lab leak? No.
No, it's like it didn't happen. And then, of course, now we're selling advanced chips to Chinese companies, reversing a Biden-era ban. And now we've got this where we're going to double the number. When do we start getting tough on Xi Jinping? When do we start telling him no? It's apparently if he decides he's going to take more soybeans, he can get whatever he wants from this president. So deeply disappointing. Still time to reverse this. But again, the notion that Donald Trump is taking a hard line on China is simply not borne out by the facts.
Well, try to get some sleep while you scratch your head over why the president might be doing that. But if you're going to try to get some sleep, do it on bowl and branch sheets. And, one of the great things about these sheets is that the more you wash them, the more you use them, the softer they get. That is incredible. And so this is a set of sheets that you want to invest in. They look at thread quality, not thread count. Boll and Branch uses the highest quality organic cotton threads for long-lasting sheets that do get softer over time.
Greg, it's summer. And generally, we have decent air conditioning in my house. But generally, the house is just warmer in summer months. And, if you happen to be lucky enough to have someone you love and you sleep with every night, I hope that you don't have someone who is as hot as my wife is. And I mean that in every possible form. I love her. I adore her. But every night sleeping next door, I get third-degree burns. It's just, so that's why you need the Boll and Branch signature sheets that are breathable so you will never sleep hot again. Their products have a quality you can feel immediately and become even softer with every wash. And remember, it comes with a 30-night worry-free guarantee.
We love them. Again, I love the deep pockets around the mattress, the big pillowcases, but they just feel great. And we haven't even got them through the next wash yet, so they're only going to feel better next time. Feel the difference an extraordinary night's sleep can make with Boll and Branch. Get 15% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com/3martini. Spell that out, 3martini. That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND, branch.com/3martini to save 15% and unlock free shipping. Exclusions do apply.
Are more people learning how to game the system? The Watchdog on Wall Street podcast with Chris Markowski. Every day, Chris helps unpack the connection between politics and the economy and how it affects your wallet. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reveal 1.1 million Americans have become disabled in the last 3 months. Over 200,000 alone in July. Is America really as disabled as the data shows? Whether it's happening in D.C. or down on Wall Street, it's affecting you financially. Be informed. Check out the Watchdog on Wall Street podcast with Chris Markowski on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Jim, on to our crazy martini now. And for that, we head to the Democrats' national meeting in Minneapolis. And obviously, our prayers are with the families in Minneapolis who have had a very difficult last couple of days. And certainly the shooting at the church this morning, waiting for all the details to come out on that. Unfortunately, we hate to see that. But the Democrats having their annual meeting in the Twin Cities. And Democrats have been doing this weird thing for a while now. I don't think this is the first time the DNC's done it. You see local governments doing this. It's called a land acknowledgement, where they basically grovel and tell indigenous populations that, yeah, we're here. Yeah, we're not going to change what we're doing, but we feel really bad that we think we stole your land. So here's how it played out at the very beginning of the DNC.
This is Lindy Somek, who is from the Saginaw Ojibwe Nation, and she's going to deliver our land acknowledgement today. Lindy.
Bonjour, Lindy Somek, Nindichnikaz, Amekdodam, Saginaw Chippewa Dojaba, Anishinaabe Kwe and Dow. Good morning, DNC members, friends, and relatives. Let's talk about the land for a second. The DNC acknowledges and honors the Dakota Oyate, the Dakota people, who are the original stewards of the lands and waters of Minneapolis. The Dakota cared for the lands, lakes, and the Wakatonka, the Great River, the Mississippi River, for thousands of years before colonization. This land was not claimed or traded. It's a part of a history of broken treaties and promises. And in many ways, we still live in a system built to suppress Indigenous peoples' cultural and spiritual history. As Democrats,
they are basically pandering and groveling and so forth, Jim. And so part of this is, of course, kind of Democratic Party theater, trying to have a grievance that they align with but won't actually do anything about. But there are other people, you got Marxists and communists out there who don't believe in private property. One of them's leading the race for New York City mayor right now, who probably don't acknowledge the private property that we currently own. So could this actually be dangerous one day and people in danger of losing their property? Or is this merely just a performative stunt by the Democrats?
Greg, before I begin my answer, I would like to begin a land acknowledgement for the house that I'm currently sitting in. It was, as I've mentioned in previous podcasts, a man, no, I'm not making this up, named John McClane. It was not the John McClane. It was simply another guy who was pretty good John McClane. Although honestly, some things not built the way I would have liked them to, but the other things, I bought the house, so I don't need to worry about this anymore. I don't want to go full Ayn Rand here, but I just kind of ask, whenever someone's doing something, it seems like a good question. What am I getting out of this? What am I, I'm sure that woman enjoyed being able to address the Democratic National Committee gathering. I'm sure it made her feel good. I suppose a whole bunch of Democrats felt good about that acknowledgement, that she felt good, and the Democrats felt like, oh, we're good people for acknowledging that Native Americans were here before us. If you're Native American besides this one, are you feeling that much better? Because it's not like you get paid back rent. It's not like you're getting paid any compensation. Like, what are you getting out of this? And so, this is going to help Democrats with Native Americans. Now, there was some polling data that came out that said that Native Americans voted overwhelmingly for Trump in 2024. They went back and revised and did more. It looks like they went 57% for Harris, 39% for Trump. So it's not like it was a Democratic advantage, but not a huge one. And so kind of there's this question of like, does this do the Democratic Party any good? I think it's the evidence for that is very thin. The percentage of Americans who find it kind of silly and virtue signaling and, maybe a better question would be, what if you did something for the Native American communities of today? What if you, for example, really respected their sovereignty and allowed them to develop gas and oil drilling on their lands? Because that was the one kind of sovereign, like the Biden administration believed, look, Native Americans are independent nations that should be allowed to make their own decisions. Except this. No, they're not allowed to do this. We're the U.S. government. We decide where you can do oil and natural gas. And we've decided that what you're doing is bad for the environment and that therefore you're not allowed to do this. I don't think this gets them anything. I think this actually makes them look silly and obsessed with every little micro group in America and is much more interested in showy demonstrations than actually improving the quality of people's lives. So I think this hurts them. And the fact, like a big topic of this meeting is, what are we as the Democrats doing wrong? Why did we lose? Why have we not, regained our mojo or our momentum? And I think like the other things, like you figure this would be the easiest change to make. If they just said, we're not doing that anymore, they would lose what I think is a very mild but a significant disadvantage. And they'd, and I don't think you'd see Native American groups getting really up in arms about, hey, you're not doing the land acknowledgements anymore. So it's just very bizarre that they continue to do this, that they don't seem to realize that this is, they in their minds, this is mainstream, which I think is an indicator of a lot of the broader problems of the party as a whole. One last point, Greg, I noticed things look, we know different Native American tribes moved from area to area. Many of them were nomadic and all that stuff. So when the first white settlers come in contact and say, this tribe A, you were the ones here. Tribe B could have been there a short time earlier, but that's lost to history. We don't know that. You just have to be wherever you were when the white settlers encountered you. That's considered your land, which is probably not really the most. Tribe B gets screwed over because they weren't in the right place at the right time to be acknowledged as the stewards of the land in the DNC meetings. Hundreds of years later.
All right. Well, before we go today, Jim, we need to let our listeners in on a little secret. For just the 8th time, I think, in the history of the Three Martini Lunch, which is nearly 15 years old now, we are going to have a guest on Friday. And as always, we don't tell you who it is until Friday, but let's just say it's someone connected with a topic we've talked about quite a bit in the last weeks and months on this podcast. And we're excited to have that conversation. We've already recorded it, and I think it's going to be great when it comes out on Friday.
Yeah, this figure has been in the public eye for a very long time. Pretty much a really good portion of your and my lifetimes, but they are really in the center of attention right now. And this is a really good time. I'm really glad that this figure was able to take the time to chat with us. I look forward to everybody listening to it. It's hilarious. I think they're really going to enjoy it.
Fantastic. So don't miss that on Friday. But before then, of course, comes Thursday with our usual format. Jim, see you then.
See you Thursday, Greg.
Jim Garrity, National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Thanks so much for your time today. Please subscribe to the podcast if you don't already. Tell your friends about us as well. Thanks also for your 5-star ratings and your kind reviews. Please keep those coming. Get us on your home devices. All you have to say is play 3 Martini Lunch podcast. Follow us both on X. He's at Jim Garrity. I'm at Greg Corombos. Have a great Wednesday. Join us again Thursday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.